Well, did you miss me? The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from all around the world, and welcome back to the original home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. No, I wasn't kidding. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am the Black Authority, and you are listening live to the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the entire cosmos. Of course, you are welcome to join us. Very glad to be back with you all here on the original Black Authority channel here on YouTube. Even though those folks over there don't like it, you gotta love it, cause you can't stop it. And I'm just warning you in advance that tonight's program is gonna be a flamethrower. So sit back, strap in, buckle down, and get ready for the ride. Now, as I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted, folks, you gonna learn to listen to the new Black Media. At some point, you gonna learn to listen to what we have to say. You're going to just finally stop acting like, well, they like all the others. No, we are not. We aren't like anybody else at all. We don't give you flailing opinions and hysterics. We give you the 720 degrees of analysis that you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. And our accuracy rating is outrageously high. And when it comes to the issue of reparations, do you all remember what the conversation was like 10 years ago? Y'all niggas is crazy. Ain't no such thing as reparations. Ain't never gonna happen. Forget about that. There's. Ain't gonna happen. 5 years ago. Well, it would be just too hard and too expensive to get reparations. So, it's just going to be too tough to get that 3 years ago. Well, you all are making a lot of trouble pushing for this reparations thing, and the majority of people don't support it, so you're making a lot of trouble out there 1 year ago. Polls and reparations task forces have been convened, but the majority of people still don't agree with reparations this year. Take a look on your screen. That is not photoshopped. That is an article from today from the L.A.Times. And you are reading exactly what it says. After all this time, after all this gaslighting, after everything that we've been told, after everything that we were assured, after everything that they said to us there, next thing you know is a whole different ball game. And what we have been saying all along is now what they are openly admitting. Now, I am going to go into some of the details about this because I do not want you to have half information, but I will go into the details about this so you can see exactly what the article says. But folks, we've been telling you for the longest time. Now, one brief aside before we get started with that, please do be aware, on this YouTube channel, it doesn't have monetization. They demonetized this channel years and years and years and years ago. So the super chat that some of you have become accustomed to, I thank you very much for that. That's not available. However, if you'll take a look at the links in the description of the video, you'll see the links to our PayPal. We got that reactivated, our CashApp, and our Venmo. So, and unlike YouTube, they don't keep 30% of every dollar. They only keep like 1 or 2%. So definitely, if you've been giving before, please avail yourself to that now. We appreciate your support as always. Regardless, the pain train moves on. Now, the article here, as you can see, the headline says, most Californians want reparations for slavery, but don't want to pay cash. Now what? Now, here's my thing about that. If cash is what you took, cash is what you got to give back. Well, I want to take cash, but could I give you something else other than cash? So this is the game that they're playing, and this is what we're up against now. All right, now then you get to the first sentence of the article. Brace yourselves here. Listen to just in case you thought that this article was sympathetic towards us. No. Look at the first sentence of the article from Laura J. Nelson and Annabelle Souza. For a strong majority of California voters, the question of whether the Golden State should offer cash payments to descendants of enslaved Africans has a clear answer. No. Did you see that? Well, that didn't take very long to escalate now, did it? Right out the gate, Miss Nelson and Miss Sosa. We'll keep that in mind for Miss Sosa. We'll keep that in mind because that's going to come back up again in this article. It says, but despite that stark finding from a new UC Berkeley poll co-sponsored by The.Times, most California voters possess a more nuanced view on the lasting legacy of slavery and how the state should address those wrongs. They agree that slavery still affects today's Black residents, and more than half said the state is either not doing enough or just enough to ensure a fair shake at success. Now, I want to give you all one more caveat here, especially those of us from the Deep South, from the former slave states, but especially the Deep South, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Arkansas, Tennessee, so on. When you ask them, why is it that all of your states are so far behind the other states economically that America's poorest states for the last century and a half have all been in the same place despite being majority white? Why is it that all of these deep southern states are majority white and yet you have been economically at the bottom for over 100 years? Well, they will all tell you it was the result of the Civil War. That's the first thing they'll tell you. If you're in history class at any of these universities in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, they'll tell you, oh, the Civil War. So let me get this straight. Your economically deprived situation is the result of the Civil War. But you're telling us that our economically deprived state isn't the result of something that happened 50 years ago. Yours is the result of what happened 160 years ago. Ours isn't the result of what happened to us 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and 150 years ago, and 200 years ago. That's not causing us. It was the cause of you, but it's not the cause for us. So next time you find somebody who tries to make that argument, folks, I'm giving you the intellectual firepower that you need to defeat them each and every time. Now, it goes in here to say that the debate and commentary over California's reparations plan, the first of its kind in the nation, has focused largely on cash payments. But the Reparations Task Force, created by Governor Gavin Newsom and state lawmakers in 2020, also recommended more than 100 other policies to help address persistent racial disparities, including reforms to the criminal justice system and the housing market, prisons and housing, the same garbage they were saying in Florida. More money for us would resolve both of those issues. It goes on to say here, those options contained in a 1,080-page report. Now, the Ukrainians didn't need a 1,080-page report. The Afghans didn't need a 1,080-page report. LGBT didn't need a 1,080-page report. Nobody needs helping Asian Americans didn't require a 1,080-page report. The folks who've been here the longest, and it is common knowledge of everything that's happened to us, it requires huge amounts of data and analysis. And, oh man, can you bring in the wheelbarrows full of data? Here we go. We got to go with a fine-tooth comb now. With everybody else, we can go ahead and give you what you need. But with us, it's, oh man, we need libraries full of data. What you're saying is that it's in dispute. And it's not. Those options contained in the 1,080-page report on the effects of slavery and the discriminatory policies sanctioned by the government after slavery was abolished. So the hard work in California is paying off, because listen to the way in which it's worded. Slavery and the discriminatory policies sanctioned by the government after slavery was abolished, but we need to make it clear in its proper context that those policies focused on lineage. When you say slavery, you are referring to a specific lineage. And the government targeted those of us from a specific lineage. So you have to keep that in its proper context. Without that, you have nothing. Without that, you have nothing. Without that, you have chaos. Without that, you have people trying to pull a fast one. The 1,080-page report on the effects of slavery and discriminatory policies sanctioned by the government after slavery was abolished may be taken up next year in the next legislative session, leaving plenty of room to explore the spectrum of opinions that voters have so far expressed, experts say. So we're going to take everybody's opinions into account. Nobody took America's opinions into account for the Ukrainians, Afghans. You get the point. Quote, often people will be in favor of the principle, but not the policy, said Ange Marie Hancock, the executive director of the Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at Ohio State University and a former department chair of political science at USC. Quote, when you get to the question of what the government should do about it, that's when the rubber hits the road. Yeah, everybody likes talking about racism. They like talking about racism. As I've told you over a decade ago. Oh, they'll acknowledge that racism exists while they'll point it out everywhere it happens. It's right when you say, now, what are we going to do about it? That's when folks start getting all wobbly and all quiet. And they start dummying up on you. Richard Malone, a 71-year-old retiree in Rancho Cucamonga who is a registered Republican, said he fears what California's reparations plan could do to his tax bill. Already, he said, the state is becoming too expensive for people on fixed incomes. Quote, I know who will pay. It's people like me, said Malone, a retired IRS agent. Quote, it won't be the rich. It won't be the poor. It will be all of us in the middle. You don't have to be a mathematician to know that our taxes will have to go up to pay for this. Malone, who is white, said he would rather see California legislators provide, quote, more of a helping hand to all disadvantaged residents regardless of race. That could include more investment in schools. Now, you see this? Now, they said that and then marched right into what we can do. So this white man says more of a helping hand, and then they march right into specifics of what we can do. So when we show up, it's all vague. When they talk to everyone else, it's a bunch of specifics. If you all believe what I'm saying here tonight is the right thing, give me the fire emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's almost 3,000 people in here live. Let folks know that you like every word that you're hearing here from the original headquarters of the new black media, over 143,000 strong. Let's get with it. So he said that could include more investment in schools in low-income neighborhoods, as well as a revamp of community colleges and trade schools to create pathways to jobs that will pay, quote, not only a living wage, but a good wage. Meanwhile, they literally just approved of 500,000 illegal aliens coming over here. 500,000 didn't have to fill out one document. That's who's going to be competing against you for your skilled trade jobs, community colleges. That's what's going to be competing against you. That right there. Furthermore, this is the same garbage they always say. Well, we need to put more money into schools, more money into schools, more money into schools. And then when you can't afford to live in the neighborhood anymore, you got to leave. Close the school. Community colleges. This is the same thing that we've been hearing this now since Jimmy Carter. Hell, before Jimmy Carter, but at least since the Carter administration. Ooh, let's put more money in the schools and community colleges. Bill Clinton, we need to put more money in community colleges. How's that worked out 30 years later? Very clearly, that's not the answer. Goes on to say here that Malone said he supports some reparations. Now, listen to what he said he supports. He supports some reparations, including the 1988 decision to pay $20,000 to each of more than 80,000 Japanese Americans incarcerated by the government during World War II. But he questioned whether black people who were not enslaved themselves deserve that same treatment. So the writers of the article, that's why I was warning you before, they're throwing their little 2 cents into it. All of a sudden, they're characterizing it. They're letting you know what they think. Malone's concern echoes the most common reason why most poll respondents opposed cash reparations. 6 in 10 said it was unfair to ask today's taxpayers to pay for wrongs committed in the past, while 53% said it would be unfair to single out one group when other racial and religious groups were also historically wronged. About 1 in 5 said the proposal would cost too much. So you notice what that said there. The majority didn't say it would cost too much. They oppose it on principle, not on economics. They oppose it strictly on principle. And wait till you see the next sentence. Camilla Moore, wait till we get down to the next section we're going to go down to. Camilla Moore, the chair of the Reparations Task Force, said she considered it a win that 6 in 10 California voters agreed that slavery still affects today's black residents. She said that negative views on the task force and cash payments were partly shaped by media consumption, especially from right-wing outlets. So she referred to the Daily Mail, Fox News, Breitbart. But you got to watch out here because you also have those who are not descendants of the slaves. Those folks are sitting right there in California talking about, what we don't need, what we shouldn't get. Now, listen to this next sentence right here on your screen, because this tells you everything. Cash payments were slightly more popular among women, younger voters, and those born in the U.S. So let me get this straight. Paying cash payments was more popular among women, younger voters, and those born in the U.S. So Joe Biden said, say less. I'll take care of that issue with too many people being born in the U.S. I'll take care of that. Don't worry, I got a solution for that problem. I got something that'll fix that. Let me bring over a bunch of folk who are not born here. Now that we realize, who's going to be in support of it? Folks, this sentence right here, this is the Los Angeles Times confirming what we have been saying the entire time. The Los Angeles Times is confirming who are these folks who, you got all these supposed black folk in America, and yet you got all these enclaves where you got black folk in such large numbers, and yet you still got large numbers of people fighting against us and supporting the white supremacist status quo. And then you need to ask a question, by the way, how many of you were historically born in the U.S. and how many of you come from immigrant backgrounds? Yeah, you might be black, but did you come from an immigrant background? Because we recognize an inherent hostility toward the black leadership class that paved the way and laid the foundations. We noticed a hostility towards us. Folks, so much being dropped here after all these years of the white media pretending that we didn't exist, pretending that what we said didn't resonate. Then when they acknowledge it, pretending that what we said wasn't right, now they are acknowledging that everything you heard us say for the last decade and a half was dead on the money. Now they're admitting it. I told you this over a decade ago. I told you cannot wait for the white corporate media to hold up a headline and say that we were right. That ain't gonna happen. We got to know what we're talking about. We got to analyze the data. We got to crunch the numbers. We can't be delusional. We have to have accurate information. Then we're going to push the agenda. And when they are no longer able to keep up the lie, then they will repeat what we say. Then they'll repeat what we say. Moore said that she would like to see a lawmaker introduce a bill on cash reparations so the idea, quote, can be debated in a democratic process. California Senator Stephen Bradford, Democrat Gardenia, who sat on the task force, recently introduced a bill that would create the California American Freedmen's Affairs Agency. So the language and the vernacular that specifically speaks to the lineage. Now you are seeing it codified. If the Congressional Black Caucus ever wants to be taken seriously, you see something like this. But then again, the Congressional Black Caucus, well, that says it all. Now listen to this part here. It says the California American Freedmen's Affairs Agency, tasked with overseeing and implementing reparations, including cash payments, cash reparations, and helping people determine their eligibility. Now, that's what you want to hear. That this is exclusion. This is not for everybody. You're not going to right a wrong by letting in everybody. You right a wrong by targeting specifically the people that you targeted for oppression. Those are the people that you're now going to target for reparations. Most of what I've heard, not all, but most of what I heard so far is encouraging. Newsom and state lawmakers reached a $310 billion budget deal on the state budget, Bradford said, and quote, if we had just half of 1%, if we put just half of 1% into a fund, we can pay for this program. Bradford said the California Legislative Black Caucus and members of the task force are also working to write legislation to, quote, address all of those harms that were identified. The task force's recommended remedies go far beyond cash payments, including proposed reforms to the criminal justice system, such as ending cash bail, repealing the 3 strikes law, and paying fair market wages to incarcerated people who work in jails and prisons. I got a better idea. All those thousands and thousands of black men and women that you locked up for dealing drugs, now that it's legal, all of them need to get a free card to deal. I am not in favor of drugs. I've never taken them. I never will. And I would never encourage anyone to. However, y'all are handing out licenses to Armenians and every white person you can. So if these folks are the ones who opened this market, then they should be and they were penalized for it. Now they should be, they should have the opportunity to get benefits from the market that they opened. You have a robust market because these were the pioneers in that market. They now need to be given the opportunity to benefit from the market that they opened. The report also touches on policies aimed at unwinding California's history of racially discriminatory real estate policy. Oh, hell. Including implementing rent caps, subsidizing down payments in zip codes where black people were denied home loans, and where they got black folk locked in box, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, where they got you locked in box. It's like, okay, we need to start that's where the benefits need to be sent, where you got black folks all cordoned off and locked and boxed. And the right to purchase property because of their, they were denied home loans, and the right to purchase property because of their race, and providing interest-free loans to owners of small businesses in African-American commercial areas. Oh, hell no, not interest-free loans. You want to have economic incubators? You can start with us. You ain't never seen a people built to hustle like us, period, point blank, in a discussion. Well, what you've been doing is depriving us of resources for centuries now. Go ahead and kick them resources in and we'll take care of the rest. You give us the same terms that you give these other people. No, not no loans. Not no loans. Silicon Valley, let me tell y'all something. Silicon Valley ain't no damn loan program. San Francisco, Los Angeles, the Valley, San Diego. Silicon Valley is not bleeding into Oakland, though they keep trying to keep it out. That's not a loan program. Startup capital. That's not a loan program. That's money on the table. That's not a loan. Do you all realize that 90% of these Silicon Valley startups go nowhere? That's the whole point of venture capital. Venture capitalists they'll put money into 20 startups, and they'll only get about 2 or 3 of them to actually get off the ground, and only 1 or 2 actually become unicorns that become highly successful. So you'll go through dozens before you get one that actually hits. But those aren't loans. They're not loans. Sequoia Capital doesn't do loans. All these venture capital firms, BlackRock, they don't do loans. They do investment, not loans. So that's what I'm telling you all. Understand what your expectations should be. No. We get the same thing you've been benefiting the other folk with. That's what we're going to get. No. The way you did it for them. Not just the money you gave, but the way you gave it. You didn't give that to them as a damn loan. Folks, what I'm saying is don't let them trick bag us into 21st century sharecropping. We ain't going to go for the 21st century sharecropping. You giving young white kids today billions of dollars, and it's not a loan. It's not a loan. Don't come to us with the loan talk. The panel also recommended providing free tuition to California's public colleges for anyone eligible for monetary reparations. Damn that! Don't let them march you off in that trick bag either. Folks, it doesn't matter whether the tuition is free or whether the tuition is paid. The question is, did the tuition do you one damn bit of good? That's the question. We don't need free tuition for useless degrees. So don't let them come to you with loans and education. We already got access to education. That's not where the breakdown is. That's not where the breakdown is. The breakdown is somewhere else. Smaller community-based efforts, including funding health clinics and building more parks in predominantly black neighborhoods. I mean, you got parks all over black neighborhoods. Where's the investment from us as the people to be able to make them in our image the way we want them to be? Cheryl Thornton, a public health worker in San Francisco, said she strongly favors the state giving reparations to black Americans as a way to make amends for decades of systemic racism. She said the state should also do something to help other groups that faced discrimination and oppression, but that she sees a crucial distinction for black Americans. No other group was enslaved, legally defined as property, or brought to the country by force. Thornton said she felt empathy for Californians who were skeptical about reparations, particularly those who are from other marginalized groups. Quote, "It's important to recognize that people may have different perspectives and concerns about this complex issue," she said, adding that, quote, "People need to become more knowledgeable because they think the playing field is fair, but it's not." Thornton, who is black, I'd like to see the lineage, works at the San Francisco Department of Public Health. She and 8 other black women in the department sued their employer in 2020, alleging discrimination toward black employees. The city settled Thornton's lawsuit out of court last year for $100,000. A reparations check from California would allow Thornton to pay off her son's law school tuition, she said. So she got $100,000 and can't pay off his tuition. That tells you about the power of these degrees. And help build generational wealth. She suggested that the money could also be used to start or expand their own businesses in their communities. Tina Mills, a 64-year-old Democrat from Marietta, said she voted for Newsom and applauded him for creating the task force. But she does not support cash reparations, nor does she see it as a winning issue for Democrats. Mills, who is Latina, took issue with the racial makeup of the task force, which has 9 members. 8 are black, and the 9th is an Asian American civil rights attorney who has advocated for Japanese Americans who were incarcerated during World War II. Mills questioned why the task force was not considering the harm experienced by Latinos and Chinese immigrants in California. So, folks, that's the Latino angle. Now, I wonder if she's saying close the border about these 500,000 Venezuelans among the millions and millions of illegal aliens, most of which are Latino, in California. I wonder if she has an issue with the fact that nobody got to vote on that. Folks, let me tell you something here. This is the reason why we've been focusing on lineage so much, because the folks who identify themselves as Latino, when you start hearing them saying anti-black statements, standing up for white supremacists, when you see them sitting up here saying that kind of stuff and then come diddy-bopping and smiling amongst us, just understand what you're really talking about here. When it comes to illegal aliens, she didn't say that black folk need to have a seat there, and why aren't we focusing on other things? Why aren't we focusing on the harm that causes? The money might be better spent on strengthening schools in rural and underserved areas, Mills said. So in other words, all the white folk, that is the Anglos and the white Latinos, you notice how all of them got the same trick bag language. Well, I don't support giving you the money. I support giving it to the California Department of Education. Why don't we give the money there? No. You wouldn't be able to spend it properly. I trust the California Department of Education much better. You know, the Department of Education that teaches your black sons to wear dresses and your black daughters to wear overalls and combat boots and identify as feminists and not black. You know, that California Department of Education? Yeah, that one. Yeah, she supports that. Yeah, that's what she supports. Many black students, quote, are getting a crummy education compared to their peers in Palo Alto and Beverly Hills, she said. I think there's a significant learning curve, said Hans Johnson, the president of the East Area Progressive Democratic Club, which has more than 1,000 members in Los Angeles County. The club hasn't had a formal discussion on reparations yet, he said, but it will take it up before next year's legislative session in Sacramento. I'm wondering, is this one of these rich white folks clubs? It's only 1,000 people, but if a bunch of them are millionaires or clicked in or tuned into millionaires, then that would explain where some of those votes get siphoned off from. Johnson found the reaction of voters to cash reparations, quote, disappointing but not surprising. He remains optimistic that other prongs of the reparations recommendations will be popular. Quote, I think Californians should be given credit for the ability to make nuanced decisions, Johnson said. The reparations task force's report detailed California's history with slavery, including Southerners bringing slaves to the Golden State during the gold rush to work in mines and perform domestic labor. California banned slavery in its 1849 Constitution and entered the Union as a, quote, free state under the Compromise of 1850. But loopholes in the legal system allowed slavery and discrimination against formerly enslaved people to continue. So when people tell you that California was not a slave state, you have to tell them that California was a slavery sanctuary state. California was a sanctuary state for slavers and slave owners. So yes, you were effectively a slave state because you condone slavery. So yes, you were. Census records show about 200 enslaved African descendants lived in California in 1852, though at least one estimate from the era suggested the population was closer to 1,500 people, according to the task force's report. It's going to be much more than that. In 1852, California passed a fugitive slave law, rare among free states. that allowed slaveholders to use violence to capture enslaved people who had fled to the Golden State. Slavery was abolished by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in 1865, ratified after the end of the Civil War. So in other words, California didn't end slavery. The U.S. Constitution had to do it. California, the bill is due. The bill is due. The bill is now due. And you're going to have to make up for every bit of it with interest. But the bill is now due. Before I get too far down the road, I do want to remind you, though, that some of our Latino friends out there who are newcomers to the country, when you're breaking and entering, is that being a newcomer? If somebody breaks into your house, if someone burglarizes your home, are they really a newcomer? I mean, I guess technically they are a newcomer, but they're also someone else, a trespasser and a criminal, by the way. But yeah, some of the newcomers who's shown up, well, let me tell y'all, they're implementing their own assimilation program, if you will. They've gotten creative. I use the word creative advisedly, but they've gotten creative in how they're going to do that. So wait till you hear what some of the details of that are. Before we do, I want to take a very brief non-commercial break. But before that, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. Well, we don't have Super Chat yet, but we'll see if that comes about. Venmo, thank you very much for your support. To Brenda Starr, as always, proud of you too, sister. I appreciate that. My man, Andrew L., thank you very much for your support. Mr. Pollard, thank you very much as well. And my man, Mr. Richburg, thank you for your support. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break. Folks, when we come back, I'm just letting you know right now, on one side, people have creative economic remedies. On the other side, the meth is good, very good. What do I mean? You'll find out. This is The Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Steve Burgess, and I'm a certified elementary school teacher and have been for 23 years. I'm the author of this book, Guidelines for the Successful Student, a closer look at parenting your school-aged child. In this book, I've explained the role of the parent and the student in addition to what accommodations, procedures, rewards and consequences and expectations that need to be in place to ensure student success from primary to high school. This book is available on Amazon.com. For more information, please visit my link tree at Easy One-on-One, and to access my latest podcast, A Teaching Moment with Mr. B.
A white supremacist assassin seeks revenge. Corrupt FBI agents with evil intentions. Dangerous black collaborators dedicated to treason. Occam Jeffers must defeat them all and somehow survive. One misstep and he's a dead man. Join Occam Jeffers as he looks the devil in his blue eyes and tells him, Black first. A sequel to the underground hit War of the Heart, Spirit of 1811 Publishing presents God Love Us, on sale at Amazon. Pre-order and save today. Visit spirit of1811publishing.com and show your love.
More Threads. A brand owned by a descendant of Black American freedmen was created to uniquely address Black American history and contributions that have been intentionally hidden and suppressed. Use their apparel and more to learn and share the Black American history of Black inventions, heroes, towns, Black business districts, and more. Sign up and support not only a Black-owned business, but a movement at www.morethread.co.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' natural body butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all this evening. And once again, I do want to say I'm very glad to be back here on my original YouTube channel. For those of you who are unaware here, a year or so ago, I'm forgetting exactly when it was. It's been a year or so. The channel came under attack by YouTube itself. I saw what was happening. Just out of nowhere, they started flagging a bunch of videos. So what I had to do is I had to take the channel underground because I really just didn't want to lose the subscriber count. That can be very hard to put together. So I did have my backup channel, TBA, and we've been working that now for the last year and a half. We got numbers up good over there, but the goal was always that once the heat dies down to eventually migrate back over here and plug in to the full force of what we do. So that's why we're back over here now. The TBA channel, of course, is going to remain open. It's going to remain available. So definitely that will be there as well. But just to let you all know, that's why we're back over here. And it feels good to be back. It feels good to be back with everyone here. Make sure that you check to make sure that you are still subscribed. During our absence, YouTube has been unsubscribing people. It's been involuntarily unsubscribing you. So everyone listening right now, check on it right now to make sure that you are not one of the people, whether you're listening live or recorded, check to make sure that you are not one of the people who was unsubscribed from the channel against your will. That's one of the ways they artificially try to suppress our numbers, try to suppress our audience, keep us from talking about this, because we're using this to make real change. And yes, Google is one of those Silicon Valley outfits. And yes, your reparations bill is being typed up as we speak. Cut the check. As far as videos on the channel, going back live in public again, that will be taken on a case-by-case basis. So eventually at some point, I plan to start reopening them, but I'm not going to just do it wholesale. That's not a good idea. The channel was targeted by YouTube itself. So I'm going to have to be judicious. Look it up. I'm going to have to be thoughtful about which videos, about re-enabling the videos. So thank you all very much for joining us here. And once again, cut the check. If you thought we were playing when I made that hashtag, if you thought we were playing when I made that statement, the word done got around. Cut the check. No, we don't want to hear about schools. No, we don't want to hear about government programs. No, we don't want to hear about community colleges. No, we don't want to hear about building parks. Cut the check. That is the reparations plan. Cut the check. Although there are some folks who, they're not really concerned about whether or not you cut the check or not. As a matter of fact, some of these folks have let us know that if they are allowed an opportunity, if they could just be allowed a chance to come here and to put in some work, if they could just be given a chance to do some work, then that's all they really need. Can we have a chance to just do some work? And up there in New York City, while they've got their Latino representatives to let you know that, hey, we just want to do some work. We just came to do some work. And if you all will, we're not looking for a handout. We are looking to work. Well, folks, I can't lie. They did tell the truth. They are looking to work. As a matter of fact, they're looking to go to work immediately. On your screen is New York State Senator Jessica Ramos. She's over there in the orange. And they're talking to her, and she's about the illegal alien crisis in New York. And they're talking to her about the impact it's had And then at the end of it, they get into the work they want to do. And folks, hang on to your belts when you find out the kind of work she says.
Are these checks and balances, or taxpayer dollars are spent appropriately?
Can we talk a little bit about migrants? I know everybody wants them to get to work. They want to get to work too. And some of them have. We know with the e-bikes, they're, I guess, working for some of these app companies. And in your neighborhood, you've seen a big influx of human trafficking. Yeah. Women on the street, children on the street. What's going on? What can you do about that?
Right. So for folks at home, I represent the neighborhoods of Jackson Heights, Corona, East Elmhurst, that area where I was born and raised. I'm Colombian, the daughter of Colombian immigrants, like many of the migrants, actually.
Shout out Pablo Escobar.
So we naturally attracted a lot of these new families, and what we're seeing, especially along Roosevelt Avenue, is a lot of survival work, right? So.
Or the term that Jason Black coined, survival sex. A lot of survival sex. Boy, I'm telling you, no shade, but the Latinas, why is it that the economic policy always skews towards sex? I'm like, what in the world ever happened to just starting up a hair salon? I mean, as soon as your feet hit ground, you're just like, where's the track? Where's the block? Where's the corner? That's it. They fresh off the boat. So much for these skills they brought. This is the skill that they were bringing. I mean, fresh off the bus.
I'm Colombian, the daughter of Colombian immigrants, like many of the migrants, actually. So we naturally attracted a lot of these new families, and what we're seeing, especially along Roosevelt Avenue, is a lot of survival work, right? So we see street vendors.
Roosevelt Avenue, is that where the Roosevelt Hotel is, by the way? Is Roosevelt Avenue where the Roosevelt Hotel is, where they got all them folks, a lot of them holed up at?
Seeing, especially along Roosevelt Avenue, is a lot of survival work, right? So we see street vending, we see people waiting to be picked up by construction contractors as day laborers, we see sex workers, we see all sorts of things that people have to do in order to survive. That's why we call it survival work. And while there is human trafficking, the law, unfortunately...
Folks, you're going to say I'm wrong for this. You're going to say I'm wrong. Okay. This chick here is built like a Tootsie Roll Pop. So I'm just saying, okay. Brief aside, all the legitimate hoes in New York, yeah, y'all need to run these newcomers off the block, because if this what they bringing, they bringing the money down. I don't mean to get really gully with it, but this is bringing the money down. This ain't gonna do nothing but bring the money down. Whatever y'all was making, these chicks built like this gonna cut it in half. They gonna cut it in half. Niggas gonna be hopping the bridge to go to Jersey. This is gonna bring all the money down. So even the prostitutes in New York need to be against the illegals, because this can't do nothing but bring the money down. This is what Colombia bringing up here. This is what Colombia is doing. Hey, get your passports. Hey, passport bros, get your passports. Get your passports. I'm just saying, y'all. So just a helpful bit of advice from me and the Department of Tourism. Y'all might want to start curating a little bit better, because, yeah, the prostitute money in New York about to go to trash. You thought OnlyFans cratered. Street walking is about to go to trash, y'all. It's about to go to trash.
Does not help distinguish that people have to do in order to survive. That's why we call it survival work. And while there is human trafficking...
you ain't gonna survive very long built like that, but okay.
of things that people have to do in order to survive. That's why we call it survival work. And while there is human trafficking, the law unfortunately does not help distinguish between those who are trafficked and who are not, for us to actually be able to find those bad guys and catch them. So we want to be very careful. We of course are not looking necessarily to criminalize people, but we do want them to work within the regulations and within the law as much as possible.
What's the regulations for prostitution, Miss Ramos? This is the values you brought from Colombia with you? Folks, I'm just saying, if you want to know if you want to know the real reason why so many folks out there, you can't get them to stop it with the illegals, and I've been telling you this for over a decade. This woman is a sitting politician in the State House in Albany in New York. She's Colombian. Now notice she didn't say Colombian American. Did you notice that? She did not say I am Colombian American. She said I'm Colombian. I'm a member of the New York Assembly and I'm Colombian, not Colombian American. So I want you to peep that part of it. She said Colombian, not Colombian American. And what's her economic plan for other Colombian women? Look here, baby, we all out of jobs. Hit the bricks, hit the track, hit the block. That's what she's telling you. Hit the block. Get out there and hustle them things. Get out there and hustle it. She's literally saying, well, let's make a lane. And this is the kind of thing we've been talking about forever. You can't come into our neighborhoods. Those of us who are not from immigrant backgrounds, those of us who are from the soil and our lineage is historically American, you can't come into our neighborhoods where there's the hoes and there's the 15-year-old girls prostituting and 16-year-old girls or younger. You can't come among us and find that and find a bunch of people condoning it. She's a sitting politician condoning it in no uncertain terms. Why, we need to get them within regulations. What the hell regulations you talking about? So she's telling you, look, these are the Colombian values that I brought up here. Hustle them draws. Don't worry, baby. You ain't got to put in the application anywhere. Hustle them draws. Go ahead and do that. So if you want to know why it is that they became so popular, it's because everybody knows that's the deal. You got all these fellas up there, want to get me a Latina, want to get me a Latina. If you don't live in these areas where the Latinas are from, you don't know what's going on, man. You don't know what's happening. I mean, they done hit the ground and they said, man, damn, getting a job. I already got a skill and no shame in the game. I already got a skill. Didn't have to go to community college where you sending them Negroes. We ain't going to community college with them Negroes. We've got our own economic empowerment plan. That's what we gonna do.
All sorts of things that people have to do in order to survive. That's why we call it survival work. And while there is human trafficking, the law unfortunately does not help distinguish between those who are trafficked and who are not, for us to actually be able to find those bad guys and catch them. So we want to be very careful. We of course are not looking necessarily to criminalize people, but we do want them to work within the regulations and within the law as much as possible. But this is the situation that Washington, D.C. has us in if these folks don't get work permits so that they can get an honest job.
Let's talk a little.
Folks, people, rational thinking people, I got a question for you. Does this look like it's looking for a work permit? You tell me. She's on her cell phone right now. She's on Twitter or TikTok, right? Does this look like it's looking for a work permit? Does this appear to be looking for a work permit to you? Does it look like she's on Monster.com or Career Builder? Do you think that's where she at? Do you think she's on Career Builder right now? Do you think that's what she's doing? Because I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical. I don't actually believe. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I really don't.
AOC, I think she's part of a rally today at 11 o'clock. Haven't heard much about her. She is in your community. At one point, you kind of called her out for not being in the office and none of her workers in the office. Has anything changed with the AOC situation?
Well, to be honest, Rosanna, actually in December, she closed her office in Queens, so she doesn't have a district office in Queens.
Okay, so the Latinas are over there scrapping with each other. They going at it. The Latinas are over there taking shots at each other. So, folks, I don't know which is worse. Is this woman on the right, Jessica Ramos, is she letting us know that she wants to run for not just New York State Senate, but like she wants to run for the U.S. House of Representatives? Is that what she's saying? Lord, New York, y'all are the cesspool that keeps on giving. So we're going to go from AOC to this? The prostitute protection plan? So this woman's economic improvement plan is lift every hoe and sing. Really?
Anymore. My understanding is that she has one in the Bronx, but we no longer share an office building.
So are you guys picking up the slack from?
Yes, I would say that a lot of the surrounding elected officials, we end up, with a little more casework than usual. And this is why it's so important to have a good team that is out there in the streets, working with people, hearing their issues, and helping them navigate our government.
Are you running for mayor?
I am running for re-election. I just announced that I'll be running for re-election. I'm not done in the state Senate quite yet, so I'm hoping voters will have me again next year.
When are you up for election?
Next year.
25?
2024.
24. Mayor's 25, right?
Time's out, interestingly. She's not to know.
Folks, they sitting there giggling. If this woman ever makes it as mayor, she's gonna make the triple X rated pornography culture of New York of the 1960s and 70s look like Rudy Giuliani was running things. Folks, they're gonna have hooker classes in kindergarten, and I'm not exaggerating. This woman gets elected mayor, you're gonna have your kindergartners and second graders on the pole. She's going to be teaching. She's not going to teach them to read and write, but she is going to teach them to sign up for their OnlyFans. Oh, no, I'm not joking. I'm not being hyperbolic. You can see the value she bringing. You can see the value she bringing. Yes, sir. I mean, she just laughing about it. And here's the crazy part. These are her Latina sisters. And she's like, ain't no thing. She doesn't want to stop them from what they're doing. It's just like, well, let's just see if we can clean it up. Clean it up? Clean it up? Folks, this is for her own sisters out there on the block. And she's like, don't worry, I'm going to make it easier for you to hoe yourself. Don't worry, we're gonna make it less punitive for you to hoe yourself. Really? This is her definition of support. This is her idea of support. Can you imagine what she got in mind for us? This is her idea of support for other Latinas. Can you imagine what she thinks for us? On our side, can you imagine some of the suggestions she would give us if we gave her the opportunity? I mean, folks, they want to hand out what? Free tampons and free condoms. Can you imagine some of the free stuff she wants to hand out? free thongs, free cell phone minutes, free OnlyFans subscriptions. Here, we've got caseworkers standing by to help you put together your link tree. And you thought the Congressional Black Caucus was bad? You thought the Congressional Black Caucus was bad. Maxine Waters and Sheila Jackson Lee are sitting over there like, it could be worse now. You could have her. You could have Miss Ramos. I'm sitting over in the corner like, you might have a point. You might have a point. Far as I know, neither one of y'all has advocated we need more prostitutes. So far as I know, y'all ain't did that yet. But up there in New York, yes, this is the Colombians. Then you wonder why all the fellas, give me a Latina. You wonder where that Latina fever comes from? This is what's going down. She's like, look, I need a baby and some benefits. And I ain't picky. Hell, he done got me off the block. I need a baby and some benefits. Boom. All right. I bet you now one of these chicks can cook. I bet you now one of them. Not at all. Oh, wouldn't it be a shame? Oh, this would be terrible, wouldn't it? What if they got kids at home? How much you want to bet these are all single moms out there on the block? How much you want to bet these are all single moms? Oh. How much you want to bet these are the kids are at home or sitting with somebody somewhere? All right. Speaking of single moms, I'm telling you, whether it's the little kids or whatnot, then there's over there on the other side, y'all, the meth is a beast out there right now. The meth is a beast. There was this clip I saw earlier today on Twitter. Man, the meth is a beast, y'all. According to this, mother beats her daughter until she says, my ass is whooped after daughter attacked her with a baseball bat. This is all on video now. This is all on video, people. What is going on? What is the world coming to? What is happening out here? I don't get it. But this is what occurred. So basically the mother and the daughter then went to a meetup spot? Really?
Surprise you showed. Oh, you got a bat?
Fights ain't fair.
Fights ain't fair. You gonna hit me with a fucking bat?
Why not? Why not?
Now, did you see that? She said, fights ain't fair. You gonna hit me with a bat? And then she proceeds to whack her with it.
Oh, you got a bat?
Fights ain't fair.
Fights ain't fair. You gonna hit me with a fucking bat?
Why not? Why not?
Stupid bitch. You hear me? You hear me? That fucking bat ain't gonna fucking help you. You hear me? That fucking bat just fucking pissed me off. You hear me? I ain't your fucking goddamn mama. You hear me? Turn around so I can see your fucking face. You fucking whore. Fucking bitch. You hear me? Turn around while you fucking...
Okay, it's wet out there, y'all. On top of everything else, it's wet. Do you see the water splashing around on the ground?
So I can see your fucking face. You fucking whore. Fucking bitch. You hear me? Turn around while you fucking black that face. No, I got it. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Don't keep on now.
No, I am gonna keep on. No. She keeps on being a bitch to everybody.
Okay.
I am calm. I'm somewhat calm.
She knows her ass is whooped, so let it go.
No, she gonna fucking tell me it's whooped. Tell me it's fucking whooped.
Fuck off of me, Sam.
Tell me it's fucking whooped.
Sam?
Tell me it's whooped and I'll get up. Tell me it's whooped. It ain't whooped or you fucking say it. You hear me? You hear me?
Fuck! Alright, get the fuck off.
I ain't heard you fucking say it.
Get off.
Are you?
So y'all, I mean, the meth, they got a new meth out there apparently. The meth is good nowadays. The meth is good, and I don't know, is it Jason Aldean? I put this at the feet of Jason Aldean. Try this in a small town. They do this in small towns all the time. Try this in a small town. Yes, I blame Jason Aldean. I blame him. I blame that combative music. I blame that. That's where I lay this at the feet of Jason Aldean. So, yes, sir. Boy, the meth is out there. It's doing what it do. It's doing what it do all over the place. All over the place. So, needless to say, they met up at the spot to squab it out. And she said, oh, I brought a bat. Fights ain't fair. So, okay. First of all, she's a better talker than a fighter. And then here comes the dog. Will someone explain to me what the hell the dog is doing there? What is up with this dog? Who is the dog trying to bite? Okay, I'm not sure who the dog, I don't know whose side the dog is taking. I don't know whose side. So this is the aunt. This is the aunt. Okay, it's not, I don't think this is the mother. This is the aunt because she said, I'm not your mom. So this is the aunt beating the brakes off her niece. Really? All right. Like I said before, you know what? And they fighting on the ground in the water like pigs. Okay, I would rather get the fight back at Popeyes. Get the fight back at Popeyes. That's a step up from fighting in the damn mud. And he just walking off. Okay, what, folks? Protect white women? Excuse me, protect white women, sir. He's just standing there looking. Excuse me, protect white women? Hello? Hashtag protect white women? So we just don't let it ride. He's just standing there looking. There is no protect white women. Okay. Is he going to get called out for his lack of toxic masculinity? And why would he just sit there and let them? I'm just saying, really? Nothing? I got nothing? Nothing. Okay. All right. Just let him do what he gonna do then. Let him do what he's gonna do. That reminds me, folks, little bit of wandering here. Little bit of wandering. Okay, so I'm out and about today. And I'm making some rounds and I'm trying to get through some things, but it's been a long damn day. And I'm like, it's just one of those things where I was saying, all right, let me just go ahead and see. I need to pick me up here. So I said, all right, I'm going to get out here and I'm going to go drop by the store and see if I can get me a Red Bull. I'm going to go see if I can get me a Red Bull and we'll do that. Gonna give me a Red Bull. All right. So I say, it's all good. Gonna go to the store. They had 3 for $6. So I'm like, all right, it's not a problem. I'll go ahead and do that. Walked in there, took me a few minutes. Let me go find which one I want to get. They got different flavors now. I'm like, oh, hell, it was bad enough before. Now you got different flavors now. Now I've got indecision. So I go up in there and I do that. And I say, I find 3 I want. And then I go up to the checkout counter. I'll go to the checkout counter. I'm going to go ahead and check out. I put the 3 of them up on the counter. And there's this dude there. The fella checking out his Circle K, there's this dude there. Y'all, I'm telling you, if I'm lying, I'm flying. You remember that movie, Remember the Titans? Remember the fat white kid from Remember the Titans? Remember him? I know you do. Remember the fat white kid from Remember the Titans? Imagine him with a stubble beard. I don't mean the full beard he has now. And I know he got himself into shape and he's colored his hair and stuff like that. But no, I'm talking about just imagine him with, some slight hair on his face. That's the guy who was checking me out today at Circle K, checking out my Red Bulls. Now, will somebody explain this next part to me? Because I don't understand it. I put all 3 of my Red Bull cans up on the counter. We're good. He comes over. We're good. He starts checking me out. We're good. He grabs the first Red Bull can at the bottom and scans it. We're good. He brings out a plastic bag. We're good. He picks up the Red Bull can again by the bottom. Listen to me, by the bottom. We're good. Will someone explain to me why in the hell he then puts my Red Bull can back down, opens up this big meaty Unicron hand, cups it on top of the top of all 3 of my Red Bull cans, picks all 3 up at the same time, all 3, and then puts them in the bag. I am stricken. I'm sitting here like, did this really just happen? In the era of COVID, did this really just occur? He picked it up by the bottom, then proceeds to put it back down and pick up all 3 from the top, and then puts them in my bag. You know that old saying, treat other people the way you would people at your house? Well, my saying is, no, you got to do better than that. You got to treat me better than you treat the people at your house. Because I'm pretty sure that this is how y'all get down at your house. You got to treat me better than that. You sure do. No, you got to treat me better than y'all act at y'all's house. If you need some sock puppets and a tutorial, I can get you up to speed. But no, we don't do this. We don't do this. Oh, folks, and he was just as congenial as he could be. Oh, he was as polite as he could be. He was the nicest. I mean, he was oblivious. Oblivious. If I didn't want to say nothing because I'm like, he ain't gonna understand. He's gonna think he's gonna think something wrong with me. If I gotta explain basic, dude, you've been working the whole damn shift at Circle K and you done grab the damn tops of all my damn cans? So I'm just, why would I say anything to him? He ain't gonna get it. So I'm just sitting here looking at my damn cans like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm looking at my cans like, what the hell do you expect me to do with these? Fortunately, I was raised to disinfect cans if you're gonna buy them, because this is what happens. Fortunately, I was raised to wash them, because between the folks who work for Red Bull and the folks who work for Circle K, man, look here. So I'm just sitting there like, man, I wanted to sit there and go, hey! But then I looked at him. I looked at the way he was hefty bag built. I was like, oh, you'll put anything in your mouth. If I sit up here and start castigating him about that, he's going to be like, what's the problem? Take a look at this fella. He'll put anything in his mouth. He thinks the problem is me. He thinks I'm the problem. So I just said, yeah, man, let me just get my bag and ball out, because this is a correction that's going nowhere. Let me just save myself the aggravation. I could talk, but it ain't gonna matter. So he ain't gonna get it. I don't have time to give him a course in hygiene and biology or fitness. So man, let me grab my thing and go. So folks, it's wild out here in the streets, man. It's wild out here in the streets. It's wild out here. Watch your back, watch your front. Bring your Clorox wipes. Man, it's rough out here. You hear me? It's rough. It's rough. In any case, we are going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I know we've been hitting hard and heavy. I know we've been running long and strong. I'm glad to see all of you back over here at the original headquarters of the New Black Media. Thank you so much to Rhonda and everyone else who has supported tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Venmo. Thanks to all of you tuning in live or recorded. Bigger and better is coming. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back here next week. Same black time, same black channel. You better believe it. And in the event that you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you have not been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, all of my brothers and all of my sisters from around the world, remember, eat this, drink this, sleep this, think this, breathe this, feel this, live this, love this, everything we are. Black first.